Nursing school, I never thought that I would leave the field within like 5 years, but that's what happened.
So proud of myself. I just clocked out for the last time. I quit my job. I'm walking out. Place is so toxic. I can't take it anymore. Good night, Amy.
All right, I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
I don't think any human being should be a nurse anymore. The way we get treated, it should never happen anymore. Patients are so disrespectful. Every time you see someone for the first time, a patient, it's a complaint, this after this after this. This drags your soul down. It's toxic. It's toxic energy that's radiating. I just walked off. I just walked out of the hospital. I just walked out of the unit. I didn't tell anybody. I got floated, and they ran me down with way more patients than I'm supposed to take. And it's literally 12:52. I just walked off and I'm just sitting in the car. When I walked out, I literally felt, honestly, I felt like I was being freed out of prison, like I was being free from an imprisonment. There's nothing else I can do. There's nothing else I can give this profession. In my 14 years of practice, I have done so much. You get spread so thin in this job. And every single time you turn around, someone's coming at you for something. Do this, or you didn't do this, or you didn't do this. Nurses, do you like doing this? Do you like doing this? I feel miserable every day.
So unfortunately, I could not make it through the entire shift. I spent my entire shift literally begging for help, from my charge nurse to my director.
So, major life announcement. I left nursing.
Everyone, that is a wrap.
Well, I hope everybody's tracking that the nursing industry is starting to collapse in on itself. It's wild how many nurses are just leaving. Check these videos out. Let's talk about it.
Today marks my last day at a hospital that I was staff at for the last 8 months. And I just wanted to say that if you're a nurse and you regularly bully other nurses, if you're intentionally mean to other nurses, if you are a person that can't figure out why your unit is always understaffed and every time they hire new people, they just can't hack it, maybe look inward. It could be you that's the problem. Not the manager, not the patients. Maybe it's you. And I hope y'all, people that treat people like crap for no reason at all whatsoever, hear this and know it's you, even though I know you won't. Good nurses are leaving the bedside every single day, and it's not because of staffing. Not always because of staffing. It's because women are so mean to other women. Instead of uplifting people, helping people, working as a team, you belittle, talk about behind people's back, gossip. If you have a problem, be a woman. Come out and say it. I work in labor and delivery, so I don't work with a lot of men, and maybe that's the problem, is we don't have a mix of men, women personalities. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. I have never worked at a hospital that I couldn't hack it. I traveled. And being a traveler, sometimes people give you a harder time. I can handle it. I've worked on the west side of Chicago. I've worked on a native reservation where there's 2 nurses for the whole unit. Loved those jobs. Worked hard to earn the people's respect and loved those jobs. I've never worked at a place like this, and I will never come back. And I won't even look in my rearview mirror as I pull away from this hospital.
I'm not a nurse anymore. kind of. I got a non-nursing job finally. So I'm a nurse that doesn't want to be a nurse anymore. Truthfully, the biggest thing that's been wearing on me the last little bit as a bedside nurse is the schedule of working nights, weekends, and holidays. I don't know if a Monday through Friday is for me, but I got a non-nursing job to just test the waters. The only caveat is that it is not a full-time job. So I do have to pair it with a bedside job. So I'm technically still a nurse for a little bit, but I'm truly just doing that to kind of make ends meet and maybe keep my skills up just for a little bit while I figure out what I want to do. But the PRN job, it's nice, which this is not normal, but there are no weekend or holiday requirements with this PRN job. So like that's unheard of, but very excited about that because I think my burnout will be a little bit less if I can control that schedule. Anyway, my non-nursing job, I'm super excited for. It's per diem / assignment based. So it's all based on the needs of the customer technically, but I'm just so excited for at least part of my life to not have the stress of a patient like life or death, you know, on my hands. I'm sure this job will come with some stressors, but it won't be life or death, you know? And I'm just so excited about that, to just like have a little refresh. And if I don't like it, bedside nursing will always be there. Like that is not going away. So, and that's a note to you guys too. Like if you are feeling burnt out or don't like the unit you're in or just, you know, struggling, you can get out. Like you can try something new because it's always going to be there when you, like if you want to go back or if something isn't working out, like you can always go back to bedside nursing. They will always need nurses. Try something new. Maybe it'll give you a better appreciation for what you had, or it'll show you that there's...
I cannot be the only nurse who has not enjoyed being a nurse. Like the last year or two, went from working in the ICU to going into home health, from one extreme to another. And I lasted in home health for about 3 months. So now I kind of don't know what I want to do. Definitely don't want to go back to bedside nursing, but I kind of have to because all of my experience is in critical care, and I'm having a really hard time finding a job that is outpatient or a procedural area without having experience.
I hate being a nurse, and that might be a strong statement, and I literally feel like I'm gonna get upset, but I have been a registered nurse for 10 years. I have changed jobs several times because everybody's like, the great thing about being a nurse is if you don't like one area, you can go to another. And I've done ER, I've done NICU, I've done private duty, I've done IV hydration. I've tried all these different things, and I hate it. I hate being a nurse. There are so many nurse content creators on here that love it, and like I'm so happy that they have found a career that they have loved. But after a decade of being a nurse, I hate it and I want a new career. So if you love your job and you make a good living, please comment what you do for a living, because I can't be a nurse anymore. I hate it. I am so upset. I just hate being a nurse, and I wish I had never gone into this career because it has broken me down so many times. And like, even when I try to get a low stress nursing job, it's not low stress. I'm still dealing with a lot of the same stuff that I used to have to deal with when I was working in the hospital, and I just can't do it anymore. I cannot do it anymore. And if you're looking to go to nursing school, don't do it. Do not do it. If you want to work in the medical field and you want to help people, go into radiology, become a radiology tech, become a surgical tech. Do not become a nurse. Do not. I 10 out of 10 don't recommend.
One of the craziest things that ever happened to me at work, I work for...
You know, when little Jack was born, it was so in your face how needed nurses are. I don't think we could have done it without the nurses there. I mean, they not only gave us hope and told us what was coming next, and they checked on her every hour to make sure everything was okay. And without their knowledge and their expertise, I mean, you could have some fatal consequences. They were worth every penny. And it's sad to see these women, these men just saying, you know what, I've had enough. The healthcare industry in itself is hard enough, and it can't even hardly hold on to doctors, much less nurses. And the future is very dark for this industry unless they fix some things.
So, major life announcement. I left nursing. Am I going to stay gone? I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I'm like 3 years away from retirement, and I have said in recent years that I will definitely be retiring at 62. No question. I know I can wait a little longer and get more money, but it's not worth it. I can't do it anymore. I just can't. And it's not the patients, it's not the work. It's a lot of things. But nursing is draining. My daughter was in nursing school. She got accepted into the nursing program and she decided not to. I fully support her. And now with everything that's happening in nursing, I'm so happy that she made that decision. And I'm happy that I made this decision. It's been a long time coming, and if I had to live my life over again, I would not go into nursing. It is so different than it was even when nursing was a late in life career for me. I raised my kids first and became a nurse about 15 years ago. But I would never do this again. Nursing has changed. It's changed so much, and I honestly want no parts of it. So will I go back? I don't know. I really don't. I'm gonna take it easy for about 6 months. And I mean, I don't have any debt. So I'm just gonna chill out. My husband's retired. I'm gonna hang out with him. And I already feel the amount of stress that's been lifted from me is tremendous. Absolutely unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. It's not even been a week yet, but I'm pretty happy. Nursing will absolutely drain you physically, emotionally. And I know I'm not alone. There are.
I've had quite a few high-level nurse friends that have said, you know what, I'm done. I'm retiring. 19 ruined the industry, the amount of hours they were pulling, and just how quick they were to turn people loose or just do just part-time stuff and not giving people full-time stuff. The benefits, the whole 9 yards. Hospitals were running at deficits for a very long time. Now they try to mess with the workforce to cut down on their expenses, and it's very, very sad to watch.
The worst part about being a nurse is not the patients, it's not the doctors, it's your coworkers. And some of my coworkers make me want to quit nursing forever. Let me tell you about what happened recently that makes my blood absolutely boil. It was 9 a.m. I was talking to my coworker who I thought was my friend, and we were just talking about life, food, traveling, money. And then I said, yeah, I come here to make money, but it all just goes to my rent, car insurance, food, etc. That's all I said. And then my coworker goes behind my back and tells my manager this, and I know that because I get a call from my boss saying, Alex, we need to talk right now, come into my office. So I walk into the office, it's my manager and my chief nursing officer. And my manager sits there, crosses her arms and says, so, I hear that you're only here for the money, is that true? And at first I was mortified because, one, I didn't really say that, but yeah, I am here for the money. But then I was like, why should I apologize for that? This is a job. We signed a contract where I said I will be your nurse and provide my services, and then you pay me a rate. And then I just sit there for like 20 minutes and they just yell at me saying that if I want to be a nurse, I cannot think about money. And it's like, first, yes, one of the top reasons why I'm here is to make money, because without money in this job, I will become homeless. But I also love to save lives. I love to take care of people. That's why I'm a nurse. And I just hate it how in healthcare, they just vilify anybody who's there to be here for money. Like it's not a career. Like I know people who became a nurse because it's their calling, but I also know people who are here because they're just a good nurse and they're here for good job security and a stable paycheck. And there's nothing wrong with either of those things.
Here's to my last work hangover. Don't know what that is? Let me tell ya. When you spend several 12-hour shifts in a row depriving yourself of water, your first day off you find yourself in an immense state of dehydration that mimics when you overindulge in alcohol. Now, as someone who has been sober for over a year now, it makes me go, wait, what? But compassion fatigue is where we spend all of that at work, and then now we're home with our families and we have a tendency to be short-tempered and tired and cranky, and we just don't have any more to give. So even though we only work 3 days a week, though at least one of those off days is just us recuperating from the work we do. It's part of the job, and I get that. But today, for me, is going to be about rehydration and self-care and understanding that now I get to give it all.
I left my career in nursing. The two main questions I always get are, why did you leave and what do you do now? Starting off with, why did I leave? This is probably going to come as no surprise to most of you, but the NHS and being a nurse is not great. Apart from being overworked and underpaid, I was actually really badly bullied, discriminated against because of my age and my race. It got to the point where I was crying on my way to work every day. My mental health was just so bad and I knew I needed to leave. So I I did, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, and it took me a long time to finally find the courage to leave. I had studied nursing and worked in healthcare since I was 17 years old.
Everyone, that is a f***ing wrap.
If you are working away from your family and you're good at something, never let somebody make you feel bad about making money when doing that. That's why you're away from your family doing something that you would probably not be wanting to do at the time. You have to make a living. You have to be compensated for your time, and it has to be enough for you to want to do that. Never let somebody make you feel bad for making money. That's how you live in this world. It takes money to breathe right now. Everything is super expensive. Don't let anybody make you feel bad for that.
We're a doctor, and he's objectively the worst one in the entire city that I work in. But I was monitoring the text line that patients can text into and ask questions, and somebody called actually, and she told me that she has a problem with her medication or is giving her these certain side effects. And I knew that the doctor didn't like this patient because she came in and she always took forever during her appointments, but whatever, she was actually a really nice lady. Anyways, I went and asked the doctor the question because I didn't know if that was a normal side effect or not, which is what I was supposed to do. That was literally my job description. If I didn't know the answer, then I went and asked the doctor. So I went and asked him, and I was like, hey, this patient is having this side effect. Is that normal? And he was like, he starts freaking out, and he literally threw down his paper, and he was like, you can't answer the phone ever again. And you know what? You need to turn your phone off because I don't even want to hear anything about that patient. And you should have known that you shouldn't have answered that patient. I don't want to hear anything about that patient, and you can't ask me that question. And I was like, okay, well, I already talked to her on the phone, and she's just wondering if that's normal or if that's like a bad side effect. And he was like, tell her it's normal. I don't even care. Just tell her it's normal. And also, you turn in your phone. You should not be allowed to answer the phone because I do not like that patient, and I don't want you asking me about her. And so then he just yelled at me in front of everybody, the entire like clinic of MAs and all of the other people that were working. So then I went and sat back down in my little station in front of my computer, and then somebody asked me if I was okay. And so then because they asked me that, I immediately started crying, and I was like, yeah, I'm totally fine. It's whatever. It's fine. Mind you, the person that asked me if I was okay was literally his daughter. Anyways, so then the office manager texted me, and she's also his daughter, and was like, hey, what happened? Like, somebody told me you were upset. And I was like, well, this doctor just yelled at me, and it was literally just because I was doing my job. Like, I know he doesn't like this patient, but like, she still deserves care. Like, he's her primary care doctor, and she didn't know if the side effect was normal, so I had to ask him if it was normal. And I also was like, also, he literally yelled at me in front of everybody and threw something at me, and that's just super unfair. And I don't really appreciate that. Then she's like, oh, I'm sorry that happened. And that's literally all she says. Then his wife, who's also the other office manager, calls me into her office. And she says, this is like the next day. And she says, so I heard you were, worried that this doctor was upset with you yesterday, and I just want to tell you that sometimes he just likes to publicly teach. He's really good at teaching his employees, so he wasn't getting mad at you publicly. He was teaching everyone, and he was using that opportunity to teach everyone and help them all be better. So he wasn't yelling at you, and he wasn't mad at you. And I said, okay, well, you weren't there, and he was yelling at me, and also nobody else in the entire clinic does that job, so he actually was not teaching them. But okay, so then I just sat there because I have no spine, and I was like, okay, that's fine. And then this is the worst part. She says, also, I know in nursing school they like teach you that you need to stand up for your patients, even if that means going against the doctor, but we don't do that here. There's no need for that here. Whatever this doctor says is the way that we do it. This is her husband, by the way. Whatever he says is correct, and there's no need to stand up for the patients to him.
It seems like there is a constant thing here about toxic work environment. I understand it. Turnover rate's hard. It's very stressful. Everybody's tired. Those that have been in the business a while, they get grouchy. I get that. But if you're running off half your workforce, maybe you got to reevaluate the industry or how it's done. Or are they setting the standard for new AI to come in and take over a lot of the floor jobs? I know you still have to have people run them, but when it comes to paperwork, logistical work, it seems like something's brewing. I want to know what you think. Comments down below. Is AI about to jump into the healthcare industry with both feet?
I quit being a nurse, and I'm going to tell you why. For some context, my name is Cindy. I've been a nurse for about 5 years. I became a nurse in 2020. And I quit this year, and I actually work from home now as data analyst, and I'm going to tell you the exact reasons why I quit and why I'm so much happier now in my new career. The number one reason that I quit is because I hate working with other nurses. I'm not saying all nurses are bad. I just have had my fair share of nurses who were just straight up bullies, made my job miserable, and they were just miserable themselves and just brought the vibe down at work, and it was just such a negative environment to be in. Second biggest reason is because of management. When I tell you I have not had a single decent manager in nursing. These people gaslight you. They don't care about you. They just care about their bonuses and their paycheck. They don't care that you're struggling on the floor. They don't really genuinely care about the patients either. And when your manager doesn't care about a patient, it kind of makes it hard for you to care about your job as well. The third reason is controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway. I hated working 312s. Everyone's like, I have 4 days off. Okay, but now I work 5 days a week and I feel like I have more time and more mental space for myself and my friends and my family. When you work those 312s, those 4 days off, you're laying in bed for 2 recovering. You're thinking about coming to work for the next few days, and you have to meal prep, you have to prepare, you have to rest. It makes you not want to do anything because you don't want to be tired and like strain yourself before you go to work. I decided enough was enough. I went back to school, got a certification in data analytics, and now I do work in the healthcare sector doing data analytics. And I couldn't be happier. I have amazing managers. My hours are wonderful. I set my own schedule. I work from home. All around, I 100% do not regret.
Not to mention, some of the patients are pretty mean. I remember being in there when my dad was there and he was really sick and old. He was very mean to the nurses, and so were a lot of the other people in there. I mean, everybody's stressed. People are hurting. They're trapped in the hospital. They're scared, and a lot of times they take it out on the nurses, and I felt so sorry for them. But, you know, it's like, what do you do? I mean, they deserve, like, combat pay, for sure.
So unfortunately, I could not make it through the entire shift. I spent my entire shift literally begging for help, from my charge nurse to my director to the doctors. One of the doctors who was like one of the admitted doctors literally got so mad that he had to escalate something up to his supervisor. I guess, I don't know what they call it, chief doctor or something like that. I have been begging for help, literally begging for help all day until I just finally was like, I can't take this anymore. So I can't finish my 2 weeks. I can't. It's just like not possible. It's humanly impossible for me to finish my 2 weeks because I am terrified for my license. So I talked to the charge nurse that came on at night, and I told her, you know, I need you to call someone. I got a very thorough report because it is a travel nurse that they ended up sending down, and she has no clue what she's doing. So I gave her a very thorough report. I sat with her for an hour, helped her out, getting the patient settled, all the rest of that, because I would never want somebody to just throw on me what was thrown on me. It's unfair. Like, how the I get all those patients with all those issues? I'm escalating problems and I'm getting no help. Not even a tech or a CNA to help with just the basic of the basics and stuff. But like, really, like, I'm trying to escalate stuff. Like, it's people that need blood transfusions and like have no access, and I'm needing help, and I'm begging, literally begging. I begged literally all day for help. Nothing. I'm like, dude, this ain't worth my license. If somebody dies, I documented the shit out of every single patient today. Like, I'm not gonna be caught in court for this shit when I'm begging y'all, and then y'all laughing. Ha ha ha. No tech. I'm like, can I get some help? Ha 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 ha. No. That shit ain't funny. We just don't have extra techs laying around. Like,
That's true. A lot of these issues are something that could affect your license. You're responsible. I mean, like, you give the wrong medicine. We saw during the Unit 19 a couple years ago, lady gave the wrong medicine to somebody. They died, and they wanted to put her in prison for something that could just happen by being tired, working, 24-hour shifts or whatever, working late into the night. Sometimes you mess up, and you can be held criminally responsible for some of this stuff, or civilly responsible.
I'm a new grad. I graduated in May of 2024 as an RN, and I got what I thought was my dream job at graduation. Well, actually, before graduation, I got the job. And I quit 3 months later. So I got my first job in the ICU, which I cried happy tears when I got the job. And I still am trying to come to terms with my decision and like what I've done, but I'm trying to trust in God and know that things will work out. So a little backstory, I did an externship while I was in nursing school. So between second and third semester, I actually was put in the ICU for my externship, and I absolutely loved it. It was probably the best experience I've ever had. And that's when I knew that that's what I wanted to do when I graduated. And I also have plans to be a flight nurse, so I knew that I had to do that anyways, that or the ER. And yeah, I just loved the ICU. And then I ended up switching to my internship, and as an intern, they move you around on different floors. So I got to work on every floor in the hospital, and I still would find myself wanting to be in the ICU, wanting to go back to the ICU. So I knew that that's where I wanted to work. So when I graduated, I did a panel interview at the hospital, and I had a few offers, and I was distraught because I hadn't heard from the ICU manager. And then that day, she called me and offered me the job. So I cried. I was so happy. I will say it was a night shift position, which I wasn't really worried about because I was a PCA, CNA before nursing school. I worked nights. My externship was night shift. It was fine. But for some reason, this time around, it was not fine. I was going to work every night. I say every night. Every evening when I'd have work and cry while I was getting ready. I would get to work and I'd go in the bathroom and cry. I would tear up all the time. My heart rate was up all shift. Like, I was just so anxious every time I was at work. Every time before work, I didn't want to go to work. And then I think it didn't help that I'm like, why am I feeling this way when this is my dream job and I love the ICU? So that was really difficult to like come to terms with. So I was inching closer and closer to ending up on my own. Orientation for ICU is 12 weeks. So I was almost done with orientation, and it was just so bad. I felt like everyone was overly confident in me. I felt like I had no confidence in myself, and I didn't understand why other nurses were just so casual about letting me do things in there that I didn't even know about. I literally felt like I was going to kill somebody every shift, and that was a terrible feeling. So I ended up talking to my manager, and yeah, I honestly didn't mean to quit. I didn't know I was going to quit until I was like speaking to her and kind of just explained that like even an extended orientation wouldn't help me right now. I think I just need to find somewhere where I can learn my skills and then maybe eventually go back to the IC. Anyways, I've been feeling very discouraged because I have not heard back from anywhere.
Nursing school, I never thought that I would leave the field within like 5 years, but that's what happened. My mom has been a NICU nurse for almost 17 years now, and I thought I would at least make it to 10. But within my first year of working as a nurse, I experienced lateral violence, bullying, retaliation, and severe burnout to the point where I wanted to leave my unit, but my manager was blocking my ability to switch units, so I felt trapped. I felt unsafe, I felt unsupported, and you just shouldn't trap someone in a role. Like, that doesn't make sense, and it's also not good for your mental health. 2021, I had my lowest point where I experienced SI. I needed to be placed on an antidepressant. I went back to therapy, and I was not doing well. I had become numb in my role. It was like Groundhog Day. Like, I was waking up, going to work, getting through each shift, not really remembering what happened, going to sleep, and then doing it all over again. And on my days off, I would just rot in bed. And my husband actually looked at me and he said, you know, you haven't been present, you haven't been here in X amount of years, all because of my role. At this point, I have sent a letter to my CNO and COO about how burnt out, how morally exhausted and distressed my coworkers are, how there are unsafe conditions that have yet to be addressed on my unit. I'm invited to this lunch with my CNO and my COO. Start talking about the safety issues that I try to address in my letter. They let me know that there is a plan to get central monitoring devices into this specific unit and into these patients' rooms within the next 6 months, which did happen. And that was a miracle. It was so needed, and I'm glad that change happened. I was asked, what would it take to retain nurses, but you can't talk about money? And I said, well, you're spending all of this money on travel staff while your nurses haven't had a livable wage increase in I don't know how many years. I told them flat out, you need to invest in your staff nurses. You need to invest in them. And this person looked me straight in the eye and said, well, Sarah, if we gave everyone in the hospital, not just nurses, a $1 raise, that would cost the system $2 million. Would you be happy with a $1 raise? That told me that we were not worth one more dollar to this system. I realized then that these conversations were never going to go anywhere because our priorities were not aligned, and they never would be.
So tonight is my final shift as a nurse, and honestly, I don't have a backup plan. I don't know what I really want to do, and I don't know where to fully go from here. I quite honestly just feel like there's gotta be more to life than this. I've been so sick, both physically and mentally, and I just need to start taking care of myself. You know, I have a 10-month-old son at home, and I miss him, and I miss my husband. You'd think that working 3 shifts a week, whether it's day or night, would be so ideal, but really it just takes everything from you. I currently work in labor and delivery and recovery and postpartum. We do all of it, and it was like my dream job. I kind of unexpectedly landed into after I had my son. And it's been so rewarding in so many ways. I work with an amazing team of people, but at the end of the day, like, I am giving so much more to these moms. Everything I have goes to these patients, and I'll sacrifice anything for them, to the point where I come home with nothing left. I'm not eating, I'm not sleeping. I've lost like 15 pounds since starting this job. Before shifts and that
job from nursing in general. I didn't want to say anything until it was official, but it's now pretty official. I've been a nurse for about 5 years now, and lately I've been feeling like I'm at the end of my nursing journey. Just feeling run down, burnt out, stuck, whatever you want to call it. I've outgrown the career and just everything that comes with it. Just resigned out of nowhere, by the way. I do have another job. I have 1 more week of nursing and then I'm done. Moving into a totally different industry, and this is just a massive step for me. All of my family are shift workers, and I'm moving into a job that's Monday to Friday. It's 9 to 5. It's very different from what I know. It's going to be a massive transition.
I'm an ER nurse. I just quit my first nursing job. I just quit my first job ever in my entire life. I actually have never wanted to quit a job ever. I didn't even want to quit this job. It was not until I got blatantly disrespected for 10 minutes. This is just a special reminder for everyone. Protect your peace, okay? Because I wish that I could fabricate this story in any type of way, like I was in the wrong. The fact of the matter is that I walked into that office, I was blatantly disrespected. And not only that, but then you interrupted me and you said, I can interrupt you anytime I want, and I'm gonna do it again.
I've officially decided to leave healthcare. I've already tried to make this once, but I just start crying because I'm an emotional person, and I think that's another reason why it's so hard to leave healthcare, is because I do care. I feel everything for everyone, and that's why it's so hard to leave healthcare, because not a lot of people care. Those types of people do not need to be in healthcare. Where do I start? Okay, so for those that don't know, I'm a licensed medical laboratory technician. I've been in this field for 7 years. I've worked pre-COVID, I worked during COVID, I was in school during COVID, and I've worked post-COVID. In the past 2 years, I've been traveling, which I very much love the traveling aspect. And if I was to stay in this career, I would not go back staff, I would continue traveling. So I don't want people to be like, oh, you're such an influence for healthcare, yet here you are leaving it. And I fear that people are gonna have that mindset, but you're either going to understand what I'm about to say or you're not, and that's fine. I am 100% in a toxic relationship with the US healthcare system, and it's killing me. Physically and mentally, emotionally drained. My body is killing me. I'm 28 years old. I have more back pain than I've ever had in my entire life, and I understand whatever career I pursue after this, I'm always going to have the back pain, but at least my mind and my body will not both be effed up. The US healthcare system is a business. It's became less of patient care and more of how much money can we benefit from patients and how much can we work our staff without having to hire more staff. The US healthcare system is not short-staffed. They got away with using and abusing us during COVID to see how much work we could put on ourselves without having to hire full-time employees. COVID was 5 years ago. This is 2025 and nothing's changed. I already knew going into traveling that these facilities were not going to be different than my staff job, but I knew that if I was going to be doing the same type of BS, I was going to get compensated for it. The best way to make money in the healthcare field right now is by traveling. I'm not a nurse. I'm coming at this aspect from the laboratory side. Over the past 7 years, I've done my best on this app to advocate for healthcare workers and to advocate specifically for the lab staff because the lab is one of the most underpaid and unappreciated fields in the healthcare industry. But it comes a point where if your body is so broken down, it's time to get out. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. The past 2 contracts that I've worked as a healthcare traveler have absolutely sucked the life out of me. The last one being in Kentucky, the one that terminated me. I have so much to say about this facility, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut for legal reasons. That place does not need to be operating. That place is ran by the HR department and there is no pathologist to oversee anything that is happening in that laboratory. So going to work every day, knowing that my instrumentation was failing me, that my fellow employees that were not properly educated that were failing me, my phlebotomists who were not properly trained by the hospital were failing me. Taking all of this, I couldn't keep up mentally. I was making mistakes and I was catching other people's mistakes because of the staffing issues and because of the lack of responsibility with management. This current contract that I'm on, I 100% would come here as a patient. I think that the results that I turn out are 100% accurate. I have faith in my instrumentation, I have faith in my team leads, and I have faith that I'm working around people that genuinely care about others. My body has been broken down by the ergonomics at this facility. It is a smaller facility that has grown a lot in the past couple years, and I love that for them, but you can't just keep growing and keep adding on without adding full-time staff. Last contract mentally drained me. This contract physically drained me. 2 contracts in a row like that, and I just feel like it's time for me to get out. I'm 28 years old and I have so much back pain to the point where my one day off on Friday, I stood up off my couch on my day off. I lost all feeling in my right leg. I found myself on my floor for 5 seconds and was like, did this really just happen? I fell to the floor and I thought I broke my ankle. So here I am driving myself to the urgent care to pay for x-rays that I can't even afford with $300 a month health insurance, okay? Don't even get me started with the US healthcare system coming at it as a patient, because I already know that my health insurance probably is not even going to cover anything that just happened on Friday to get the x-rays to rule out that my ankle was not broken. There was one person that could cover me that I already knew had plans for the weekend. So then it just becomes a guilt trip of, oh, I'm just putting my work onto someone else. I feel guilty for not going in. So what do? I go in and I work 4 days straight on a sprained ankle. No college degree, no career, and no amount of money is worth losing yourself physically or mentally. I can't just sit here and bash healthcare because I'm so grateful for some of the life lessons that it's taught me, and I say that I'm in a toxic relationship with healthcare because it was there for me when I had nothing. Some of you all have been following me since 2016 when I lived in New York on a military base and I was set in my spare bedroom doing makeup tutorials, and then some of you all have found me along the way in my healthcare career, and I'm so thankful for everyone that's followed me along the way. All I've ever really wanted to be is a good godly wife and a mom. When the wife part fell through and my ex-husband made the decisions he made against our marriage, I had to build myself from the ground up alone. All I knew is I had to provide for myself financially because I was never going to ever let a man tell me to go get an effing job ever again. Ever since then, I've been married to my career, and this is where I've been since then. It's really hard because I still so strongly desire to be a wife and a mom, and I fear that with the amount of stress that my body is under in this career, that I won't be able to carry a child. I know that I'm not the only one going through all of this because every friend that I've made on every contract is in the same spot and they're just dying to get out. You don't want to get out because you feel like you're being weak and you're letting the system win. It just comes to a point where you just have to walk away, and that's where I'm at 7 years.
You heard it. It seems like an ongoing thing at every level, both between leadership, both between pay, and the healthcare industry itself. I want to know what you think. Comments down below. What is the way to fix this system? And I see insurance is going through a mess right now, especially with this whole shutdown. It's affecting everything. What is the future of healthcare? If this whole thing comes down, and don't say the government would fix it, because the government is not going to fix anything. They can't even fix themselves. They've been shut down for an entire month. But that's all I got, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below. I want to know all your thoughts, good, bad, and the ugly. Maybe we can have some discourse that'll fix this whole situation. But it needs fixing, or it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And it doesn't seem like the media wants to even talk about it. And that's what's wrong. That's why I like to make these videos, because nobody's talking about these things. See you later.